are only two things in this world that I really don't like. People who are intolerant of other people's religious beliefs and young earth creationists.
Go nuts on my nuts.
How do I share my faith with my parents, my friends? They aren't listening to my logical arguments.
A bit awkward this is, especially to bring it up at this early stage, but I wanted to let you know that as a creationist, you may not have any logical arguments to present.
And I think there are a lot of errors that we fall into when trying to share our faith.
Well, look at us, just two guys sharing opinions. I agree, you and other creationists do make many mistakes when trying to share your faith. Like, for example, trying to share your faith.
And we have this very naive idea of the world. Like, a lot of us are truth seekers. We want the truth.
Yeah, sure you do. Come on, Kyle. If you really wanted the truth, then you wouldn't be a young earth creationist, would you? Young earth creationists and truth are not two things that belong in the same sentence, are they? Bit like pineapple on pizza. Sickos. The bloody hell's wrong with you?
Just to think of another example, like maybe your parent is overweight or on cigarettes and doesn't work out. You can bring them all the logical evidence, and you could be 100% right, you could be objectively right. It doesn't mean they're magically going to quit cigarettes and start working out.
Okay, well, it's a well-established scientific fact that smoking is harmful to your health and that a high-fat diet can lead to weight gain. However, the same cannot be said for the concept of creationism. Many creationists often use the Bible as evidence for their beliefs, but it's a book. It doesn't provide any scientific proof or evidence. And I know you're a fan, Kyle, so as Ricky Gervais once noted, if all the scientific texts and religious texts were destroyed, the scientific text would eventually be reconstructed and still be accurate due to the replicable results of the experiments conducted. But the same can't be said for religious texts, can it? It would depend who was making it up this time.
It's the same with sharing our faith. It's not really a logical problem. And if you keep harping on the logical problem, it's just going to lead to argument, and it's going to just make them resent Christianity.
I completely agree again. When people try to forcefully impose their religious beliefs onto others, it tends to make those individuals less accepting of those beliefs. And while religion may be fulfilling for some people, it isn't for everyone. And that's my issue with people like Kyle, who never stop talking about their beliefs and try to present themselves as always being right, even though they can't prove any of it. Or provide any evidence beyond citing the Bible, obviously.
So that's the first thing we can't fall into, is constantly arguing with our parents and friends. People are going to get annoyed if all you talk about is your religion and philosophy.
So why do you do it then? Why do you have a YouTube channel? To do the thing you just said you shouldn't do because it doesn't work?
But for the average person, they have no idea what you're talking about, and they're just going to feel like they're attacked. And when people feel like they're attacked and they have to debate, they shut their brain off. They're not going to listen to you.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying? I wasn't listening. Ah, yeah, silly me. People shut their brains off. Wish I could, but anyway, yeah, you're right. And there's a very good reason for that. Oh, no, I don't know the reason. I was kind of hoping one of you would.
So when you're talking to the average person, don't try and I'm going to debate you, mom, dad. No. It's just going to make them
think you're a total weirdo. Who debates their parents? Come on, Kyle, think before you speak. And talking about speaking, is there an actual point to your video, or do you just like the sound of your own voice? Like me.
But that requires an open mind, and most people aren't open-minded.
And you are? Okay, I'll give you that one, because your mind is clearly so open, you allowed yourself to believe the lies that other creationists have told you. There isn't a shred of truth in the Bible, and you can't refute that without referring back to the Bible for help.
I mean, I hate this analogy, but it's like, let's say you're a salesman for your worldview. Maybe you have the best worldview, but if most people have, let's say they have a bad worldview.
Salesman? Salesman? Are you being serious? If you hate this analogy, then why bother to use it? It's crap. And for one, salesmen haven't exactly got a reputation for honesty, have they? And secondly, what exactly is a bad worldview? Let me guess. any worldview that isn't the same as yours, Kyle? How very Christian of you.
Or they have a decent worldview. They're not in the market of getting a new worldview. So it's going to be really hard to sell them a new worldview unless they're looking to buy.
Why are you here then? What exactly is it you're hoping to achieve? You want to know what I think? No? Okay, great. I'll tell you then. Who exactly gets to decide if a person's worldview is good or bad? Is it God? You know, that really nice guy you lot bang on about all the time? If, like many other creationists, you think you have a hotline to God, I've got a question for him. What's childhood cancer all about? If God created everything, he also created childhood cancer. Bit of a dick move if you ask me. And I know you didn't ask, but I'm telling you anyway. No one asked for your opinion, but you're still giving it to us, so yeah. Next time you speak to God, can you ask him that for me?
That's why it's easiest to, sell your worldview to people who are looking for a worldview, people who are looking for the truth.
Sounds to me like you were suggesting that it's best to only try to convince those who are vulnerable and desperate. People who are suffering and therefore may be more likely to believe in your beliefs, to accept your perspective. Oh yeah, that all sounds really Christian, doesn't it?
Those are going to be the people that you can use the most logical arguments with. But the people who are just, I'm happy with my bad worldview, with my decent worldview, well, it's going to be hard to sell them something that they think they don't need.
No, silly, that's not the problem. The problem is that it's hard to sell something to someone that isn't real. Oh, and by the way, if any of you are gardening fans, I've got some 25 kilogram sacks of unicorn shit for sale. Just message me and I'll take your money and then send you something make-believe.
And so, really, you need to focus on winning over their mood first. You need to be a good example. You need to live like Christ.
You haven't met many women then, have you, Kyle? Win over their mood? Yeah, good luck with that one, pal. No, you don't. What you need to do is shut up and let people choose for themselves whether or not they should or shouldn't believe in God. If you did that, like a normal person, then people like me wouldn't make videos about you. Or is that what you secretly want? It is, isn't it? I can tell because you always reply to atheists that make videos about you.
So please don't keep harping on it. You can bring up the logical arguments, but don't keep harping on it. If they say no, then just wait. You have your entire life to convert them. You don't need to convert them right that second.
And who exactly chooses who should or shouldn't be converted? And more importantly, how arrogant does someone have to be to think they have the power to convert someone? And I know it happens, but it shouldn't. It really winds me up when people like Kyle say anything about converting people as if to imply that they can convert somebody and somehow improve someone's life by converting them to a religion. People are not as dumb as I look and sound, Kyle. Most people can make up their own minds, so leave them alone to do that. I've said this so many times. If a person finds comfort in religion, then I think that's awesome. But then if that person then proceeds to try and ram their own religious beliefs down another person's throat, then it makes them a dick.
And what we need to realize is that we don't convert anyone. We plant these little seeds. We let the Holy Spirit work. I mean, you can lead a horse right up to the water.
But you can't make it believe in God, nor should you. Now, Kyle, this is specifically for you. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school, church, the whole shebongi. But then I became an adult and started to think, hang on a second, this God bloke sounds like a bit of a knob to me. Maybe the nuns that were my teachers were all lying to me for all those years I spent in school. Although how they found time in between hitting us with stuff is beyond me. I grew out of it, Kyle. Forget about the Bible for just a second. If I was sat here and telling you I saw this guy turning water into wine in my local town, then you'd think I was off my box, wouldn't you? Or at least you should. Or maybe you think he was a magician or a con man and he fooled me into thinking it was wine. But somehow the fact that things like that are written in a very old book make them real without question. And I won't even mention Moses parting the Red Sea. Don't worry, I won't make the tampon joke again. Or the burning bush. Think about it, Kyle.
It's the same with your friends, your family members. You can tell them, hey, drink this water. But if you can't make them drink. So you can, but what you can do
is allow them to make up their own minds.
Is pray for them. Be a good example. drink the water. So they're like, oh, yeah, maybe I should drink the water. Maybe I should go to church.
This is the problem. I kind of agree. Yeah, show them, lead by example, and if they want to, they will accept your position based on their own choice. That's not what you do, is it? I mean, if it was, you wouldn't have uploaded this video and I wouldn't be responding to it. My issue with people like Kyle is that they find themselves performing mental gymnastics to try and convince people that the creationist position is the right position, and it ain't.
I think two perfect examples is that my godmother, she was a cradle Orthodox. She married a Lutheran, and she didn't harp on him. I think you should marry an Orthodox Christian, but this is just an example of she didn't harp on him. She prayed for him, and it took 10 years. But not only did he eventually become Orthodox, but he became an Orthodox priest.
So basically what you're saying is that a man was nagged into submission by his wife. Nothing really groundbreaking there, is there?
And then eventually the logical arguments came. And then not only did he become an Orthodox Christian, but he became an Orthodox priest. All she did was have patience. She prayed for him. She was a good example.
Well, that's all fine and dandy. But what would she have done if she couldn't convert him to her way of thinking? It's all well and good giving examples of when it went your way, but what about when it doesn't? What about people like me, or Sir Sick, Aaron Ra? Yeah, I say Aaron weird, I'm Welsh. And other much higher profile atheists than me, who you are definitely not making videos about because you think it'll help your channel grow. Why is it that me and others I've mentioned don't change our position, even though I did? But you know what I mean. You have absolutely no hope of ever converting any of us.
That's what you have to do. Or think of someone like Abbot Trifon. He converted to Orthodoxy. His parents were Protestant. What he did, he didn't just sit there and argue with them. No, he just showed by being a good example, by living like Christ. That is what convinces most people. It worked with Abbot Trifon. It worked with my godparents.
Now, a lot of you won't know this, but a very good friend of mine, someone I've known for over 20 years, is a minister at our local Pentecostal church. He's one of the nicest, kindest people I've ever met, and yet in the 20 years I've known him, his example has done nothing at all to even make me think about changing my position when it comes to religion. Now, I know that a lot of people I make my religious content on are at the extreme end of the spectrum, so it may not be the best comparison, but I've witnessed acts of kindness from my mate that are completely mind-blowing. I've seen him preach, he's helped me many times with one thing or another, and yet, even though one of my friends is a preacher, I'm still an atheist. And I'll tell you why. It's because he's able to accept that religion just isn't for everyone.
And for the people who have Catholic and Protestant families and friends, and they feel like, I'm scared, I'm really nervous. I was too. All of my friends were Catholic. I was really scared. I'm like, how do I tell them that I'm becoming Orthodox?
That's just reminded me of something, actually. Something else that bothers me about people like Kyle. So when I was a Catholic, until I grew out of it, and even I remember that Christians don't accept the Catholic religion. Why? It's the same God, isn't it? Why is it that most Christians seem to be of the opinion that Catholics are doing it wrong? I just don't get it. If God ever was proven to be real, then surely there would only be one of him or her.
But the best thing you can do is, it's always worse in your head. So just tell them. And you don't need to attack their beliefs. All you need to do is say, hey, I'm researching church history. I've been looking into Orthodox Christianity. I think it's very interesting. I think I'm going to try it out.
What do you mean, try it out? What, like test driving a new car? If a person decides for themselves that they want to switch religion, then good for them. But if a person is convinced into changing religions, then not so good for them, because they've allowed themselves to be persuaded by a person from another religion. Just leave people alone.
Focus on living like Christ. Focus on sharing the faith in a charitable way.
Brilliant. So why not do that then? Why upload content to the internet trying to convince people that your way of religioning is right and that theirs is wrong? Not to mention people who don't buy into religion. All people like you do is rub them up the wrong way. And speaking for myself, all people like you do is make me even more stubborn. The best way to get a person like me to not do something is to tell them that they should.
Because a lot of us, since we do know more than most people.
Ah yes, about what though? And I'm not trying to be mean here, but that's a pretty arrogant statement to make. Ooh, look at me, I'm an Orthodox Christian and we know more than most people. What an absolute douchebag. You may know more about the Bible than someone like me, but that means nothing. apart from you know a lot about a book with little to no value. Unless, of course, you already believe in God. So, yeah, like I said, believe in God if you want to, but shut up about it and stop trying to convert people. It doesn't work.
And I found myself, online and in person and in debates, is I sometimes come across as arrogant and condescending.
No, really? I would never have guessed. Yes, you do come across as arrogant and condescending, and yet you still do what you do. So like most of the other people I make videos about, you can see your flaws, but instead of addressing them and trying to do something about them, you just lean into it and try to further your own narrative. And for what purpose? The churches run a pool for people that have converted the most people in a year, due win a prize.
And like seeing that and seeing other people be arrogant and condescending, I'm saying I don't want to be like that. That's not a good thing. Even if you're right, but you're arrogant and condescending, it's going to turn a lot of people off.
Exactly. That's the second thing you've said that I agree with. It does exactly that. So why keep going? Now, I've seen your response to Sir Sick, and all it is you telling everyone how wrong Sir Sick is without offering anything as an alternative. The way you come across is that you seem to think that because you believe in God, it makes you a better person. Well, if religion is so awesome, why is it that people like you have to work so hard to convince other people that religion is the way to go? If it was as amazing as you all claim it to be, everyone would want in, wouldn't they?
We know so much. We know more than 90% of people.
Oh yeah, I'm really glad you're working on not being arrogant. Although given what you just said, it would seem like you've got a long way to go. And just to clear it up, when you say you know more than 99% of people, about what exactly? But it's the Bible, isn't it?
And that's another thing we can do, is invite people to church.
What if they say no?
I mean, that's one of the simplest things. And most of the time, even if someone's like an atheist, most people aren't that militant atheists. They're just like, well, I just don't take it seriously. But if you invite them to the church and you have something attractive, you have a good community, that's going to be attractive to them.
You don't know many atheists, do you, Kyle? This is my position. Unless you or anyone can demonstrate to me that God exists, then I don't believe you. And when I say prove to me that God exists, I mean without using the Bible.
But again, the worst thing you can do is just to constantly try and debate everyone and come off as like arrogant and condescending, and then they just resent you. They resent Christianity. Don't do that.
Oh, this is freaking me out. I agree again, Kyle. So why don't you then? You've got debate videos on your channel, you hypocrite, and titles like Sir Sick Debunked and Atheists Stop Saying This, How to Convert People to Christianity. Even though you have spent all your time in this video telling people not to do those things because they don't work. And you're right, they don't. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. It's nice to be back. Love you. Bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.